In Olydes' will, he places Cleopatra as co-regent with Theos, her younger brother, who's only 10 years old. Sibling marriage in ancient Egypt goes all the way back to the beginning of time.
Sibling marriage is not something that was ever practiced among Greek Macedonians. So the idea seems to enter the Ptolemaic history because they have pulled it from mythology.
Inbreeding dates as far back as 2500 BC, and it was worse then than now. Countless royals had to battle chronic illnesses and genetic problems resulting from their families' inbreeding, and most of these royals had unimaginably tragic ends. Curious to know who these sovereigns were and how they had to live with terrible health conditions while ruling their region? Then join us as we reveal the 10 most inbred sovereigns in history. Joanna of Castile, the tragic queen. Joanna of Castile was a queen of Spain in the 16th century. She was born into a family with a long history of intermarriage, which is known as inbreeding. This practice was common among European royal families, who sought to preserve their wealth and power by marrying within their own families. Joanna's parents were also closely related, and her grandparents were related as well. This family history of inbreeding likely contributed to Joanna's mental health issues. Joanna's marriage to her cousin Philip, also known as Philip the Handsome, was arranged by her parents. This type of marriage was common among royal families, but it can lead to genetic problems and health issues. Joanna and Philip had 6 children together, but their marriage was tainted with turmoil and instability. Joanna suffered from mental health issues, including depression, anxiety, and paranoia. She became more reclusive and withdrawn, and her behavior became more erratic. Joanna's mental health issues likely had a genetic component, given her family's history of inbreeding. Her parents and grandparents had also suffered from mental health issues, and it is possible that these problems were passed down through the generations. While she had these health problems, Joanna was still a devoted mother and wife, and she was very involved in shaping the future of Spain. Joanna is not the only sovereign whose life has been really difficult because of her family's inbreeding. Christian VII of Denmark didn't have it easy either. Christian VII of Denmark, a life of hallucinations. Christian VII was the king of Denmark from 1766 to 1808. His family history of inbreeding most likely contributed to Christian VII's mental health issues, including his hallucinations. Christian VII's life was marked by a series of mental health problems, including hallucinations, paranoia, and depression. He suffered from these issues throughout his life, and they made it difficult for him to perform his royal duties. Christian VII's hallucinations were very severe, and he often saw and heard things that were not there. These hallucinations were likely caused by his family's history of inbreeding, which can lead to genetic problems and mental health issues. Even with his mental health issues, Christian VII was a kind and gentle person, and he was loved by his people. Sadly, Christian VII's mental health issues made it difficult for him to rule effectively, and he was eventually forced to abdicate the throne in favor of his son, Frederick VI. Louis XIV of France, the Sun King with a history of inbreeding. Louis XIV was the King of France from 1643 to 1715. He is often called the Sun King because of his powerful and bright personality. Louis XIV was a member of the Bourbon family, which had a long history of practicing consanguineous marriages. This means that they married within their own family, often between cousins or other close relatives. This practice, known as inbreeding, can lead to genetic problems and health issues. Louis XIV's parents were closely related, and his grandparents were also related, which likely contributed to his own health problems. Louis XIV suffered from a range of health issues throughout his life, including digestive problems, arthritis, and gangrene. These health issues may have been caused or exacerbated by his family's history of inbreeding. If you think this is the worst sovereign case of inbreeding, wait until you hear the next one. Cleopatra, the Egyptian queen with a history of inbreeding. The iconic Cleopatra was the last pharaoh of ancient Egypt, ruling from 51 BC until her death in 30 BC. She was a member of the Ptolemaic dynasty, which was a Greek family that ruled Egypt after the death of Alexander the Great. Cleopatra's family practiced a form of marriage called sibling marriage, where brothers and sisters would marry each other to maintain power and wealth. This practice, also known as inbreeding, can lead to genetic problems and health issues. Cleopatra's family had a long history of sibling marriage, which likely affected her health. Her parents were brother and sister, and her grandparents were also closely related. This means that Cleopatra's genetic makeup was likely compromised, making her more susceptible to illnesses and health problems. Even with these potential health issues, Cleopatra was known for her intelligence, beauty, and charisma. She was a skilled diplomat and leader, and greatly influenced Egypt's relationships with other ancient civilizations. Cleopatra's health issues are not well documented, but it is believed that she may have suffered from a range of problems, including epilepsy, migraines, and infertility. These health issues may have been caused by her family's history of inbreeding, which can lead to genetic mutations and increased susceptibility to illnesses. Ludwig II of Bavaria, the Mad King. Ludwig II, also known as the Mad King, was a king of Bavaria in the 19th century. He was born with a rare condition that affected his physical and mental health. This condition was likely caused by centuries of inbreeding among European royalty. In Ludwig's case, his parents were first cousins, which increased the chances of genetic problems. Ludwig's rare condition affected his behavior and decision-making. He became increasingly reclusive and withdrawn, preferring to spend his time alone in his castles rather than attending to his royal duties. He also developed a passion for building grand and elaborate castles, which drained the Bavarian treasury. Despite his mental health issues, Ludwig was a very talented and creative person. He was a patron of the arts and a supporter of the famous composer Richard Wagner. Ludwig's life ended tragically. He was declared insane and removed from power, and he died under mysterious circumstances in 1886. Ferdinand I of Austria, the epileptic emperor. Ferdinand I was the Emperor of Austria from 1835 to 1848. He was born into a family with a long history of inbreeding. His family's history of inbreeding likely contributed to Ferdinand's health issues, including his epilepsy. Ferdinand's epilepsy was a significant problem throughout his life. He suffered from frequent seizures, which made it difficult for him to perform his royal duties. Apart from his epilepsy, Ferdinand also suffered from other health issues, including mental retardation and physical disabilities. In 1848, Ferdinand was forced to abdicate the throne in favor of his nephew, Franz Joseph, who would go on to rule Austria for nearly 68 years. Ferdinand spent the remainder of his life in retirement, living in Prague and then in Vienna, where he died on June 29, 1875. Now, here's where our list gets worse. John I of Portugal, a king with many mistresses. John I was the king of Portugal from 1385 to 1433. He was a member of the House of Aviz, a powerful family that ruled Portugal for many years. John I was known for his many mistresses and children out of wedlock. He had several children with his wife, Philippa of Lancaster, but he also had many other children with his mistresses. This was not unusual for a king at that time, and it did not necessarily have anything to do with his family's history of inbreeding. John I's family did have a history of inbreeding, but his parents were closely related, and his grandparents were also related. This practice of marrying within the family was common among European royal families, who sought to preserve their wealth and power by marrying within their own families. While John I's family history of inbreeding may have contributed to some health problems, no one knows whether it had any direct impact on his behavior or his decision to have many mistresses. King Charles II of Spain, the inbred monarch. King Charles II was the last Habsburg ruler of Spain, reigning from 1665 to 1700. In King Charles II's inbreeding case, his parents were uncle and niece, and his grandparents were also closely related. This family history of inbreeding likely contributed to King Charles II's physical and mental limitations. King Charles II suffered from a range of health problems, including epilepsy, paralysis, and mental retardation. He was also physically weak and had many deformities. These health issues made it difficult for King Charles II to perform his royal duties, and he was often unable to make decisions or take action. But King Charles II was a kind and gentle person and he was loved by his people. Sadly, his inability to produce an heir led to a succession crisis, which ultimately resulted in the end of the Habsburg dynasty in Spain. Charles II's reign is mostly remembered as a period of decline for Spain, which had once been a powerful and dominant world power. The country was plagued by economic problems, corruption, and internal conflicts. King Charles II's physical and mental limitations made it difficult for him to address these problems, and he was often at the mercy of his advisors and nobles. Remember Ludwig II of Bavaria? Well, he isn't the only king on our list that has to live with madness. George III of Great Britain, a life of madness. George III was the King of England from 1760 to 1820. George III's life and reign are mostly remembered for his periods of mental instability. He suffered from symptoms such as confusion, agitation, and delusions. These episodes became more frequent and severe as he got older. During these periods, George III was unable to perform his royal duties, and his son, the future George IV, took over as regent. While he was dealing with his mental health issues, George III had many achievements during his reign, including the expansion of the British Empire and the establishment of the Church of England. George III's madness has been the subject of much speculation and debate. Some historians believe that his symptoms were caused by a condition called porphyria, which is a genetic disorder that can cause mental and physical symptoms. Others believe that his madness was caused by a combination of factors, including his family's history of inbreeding, his stressful life as king, and his personal struggles. Alfonso XIII of Spain, a rare case of endogamy. Alfonso XIII was the King of Spain from 1886 to 1931. His family history of endogamy led to a rare case of inbreeding, which can cause genetic problems and health issues. Alfonso XIII constantly had to face a series of health problems, which were likely caused by his family's history of endogamy. He suffered from a range of issues, including hemophilia, which is a genetic disorder that affects the blood's ability to clot. Alfonso XIII's hemophilia was a major problem throughout his life, and it made it difficult for him to perform his royal duties. Alfonso XIII's reign is remembered for its period of rapid change and upheaval in Spain. He oversaw the modernization of the Spanish military and the expansion of the country's infrastructure. Alfonso XIII also worked to promote education and economic development throughout Spain. Despite his efforts, Alfonso XIII's reign was ultimately cut short by the Spanish Civil War, which forced him into exile in 1931.
The interview. The scene unfolded during what should have been a routine visit to the Royal London Children's Hospital, where the Princess of Wales was inaugurating a new cancer research wing. Dressed in her signature professional style, a tailored navy blazer and matching skirt, Catherine had spent the morning doing what she does best: connecting with young patients, chatting with medical staff, and bringing her characteristic warmth to every interaction. It was during the final moments of her visit, as she was preparing to depart, that a reporter from the crowd called out a question that stopped her in her tracks. The usually composed princess, known for handling even the most challenging situations with diplomatic finesse, visibly faltered. Her security detail immediately tensed, and her private secretary stepped forward protectively. The atmosphere changed in an instant, recalled Sarah Thompson, a nurse who witnessed the incident. You could have heard a pin drop. It was like all the air had been sucked out of the room. While palace protocol typically prevents direct comment on personal matters, what made this particular exchange extraordinary was not just the question itself, but the raw humanity it exposed in a woman who has mastered the art of public composure. For a brief moment, the carefully maintained mask of royal protocol cracked, revealing the very real person beneath the crown. The timing of this incident is particularly sensitive, coming just weeks after her recent health announcement. As footage of the moment spreads across social media platforms, royal watchers and critics alike are analyzing every nuance of her reaction. The palace has yet to issue an official statement, but sources close to the royal family indicate that this incident may prompt a review of media guidelines at royal events. Such media intrusions into royal privacy have become a pattern, with reporters frequently overstepping boundaries. When Prince William encountered a similar situation recently, his reaction stood in direct contrast to the princess's reaction today. Let's find out. Kate's current health condition. In a recent public appearance, Prince William, the Prince of Wales, stated in response to an interview that his wife, Princess Kate, was doing very well in her recovery. This information came months after Princess Kate was diagnosed with a type of cancer that has been left undisclosed. The prince was interviewed during his visit to St. Mary's Community Hospital on the Isles of Scilly in southwest England. He was calm, smiled, and reassured that the princess was progressing favorably in her recovery journey. This brief health update holds particular significance following Kate's candid video announcement regarding her cancer diagnosis, which came to light after what was initially described as a planned abdominal surgery. This news was delivered through Kensington Palace on March 22nd, revealing not only the diagnosis, but also highlighted the princess's ongoing preventative chemotherapy treatment, which commenced in late February. The moment the Prince of Wales appeared at St. Mary's Community Hospital, it was an opportunity to catch a glimpse into the royal family's current situation. While the prince was being guided through the facility by Administrator Tracy Smith, interviewers seized the moment to ask questions about the princess's condition, to which he responded positively, making it the first time he was answering to such a question publicly. The public has always been interested in the affairs of the royals, and so Kate's absence from public engagements since Christmas Day 2023 had initially sparked considerable public interest, which was finally addressed through a carefully planned video message released in March 2024. The announcement revealed a significant health journey that began with a major abdominal surgery in London during January, initially believed to be for a non-cancerous condition. Subsequent medical tests, however, led to the discovery of cancer, prompting the medical team to recommend a course of preventive chemotherapy. The timing of this announcement was deliberately chosen by the royal family, allowing them to process the diagnosis privately and address it appropriately with their 3 children: Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. The decision to maintain privacy during this period is the family's way of creating a supportive environment for their children while dealing with this unexpected health challenge. This approach reflected the royal family's commitment to balancing their public responsibilities with their children's emotional well-being. The princess's message struck a delicate balance between transparency and maintaining necessary medical privacy, as specific details about the type of cancer were not disclosed. Her communication emphasized both her determination to recover and her anticipation of eventually returning to her public duties, which have been a source of personal fulfillment throughout her royal career. This period of treatment has necessitated a temporary step back from her official engagements, with the princess focusing entirely on her recovery journey. During this time, Prince William has continued his royal duties, including a notable visit to St. Mary's Community Hospital on the Isles of Scilly. His engagement there centered on the development of a new integrated health and social care facility, designed to enhance local healthcare access and reduce mainland travel requirements for patients. This facility, scheduled for completion by summer 2025, represents a significant improvement in regional healthcare provision, allowing residents to receive comprehensive care closer to home. Unlike before, the royal family's handling of this situation has demonstrated their modern approach to dealing with personal health challenges, while maintaining their public roles, setting a precedent for transparency while preserving the dignity and privacy necessary for medical treatment and family adjustment. This modern approach seems more appropriate because the palace is not a stranger to receiving news of tough health challenges and even terminal diseases. It is almost becoming a generational trend, and there are more shocking details to unravel. Stay tuned. A bit of the royal family health history. The British royal family started off the year with heartbreaking health news testing their resilience while under the intense scrutiny of public attention. The story began to unfold on January 16th, when Kate, Princess of Wales, underwent what was initially described as planned abdominal surgery at the London Clinic, a prestigious private medical facility in the heart of London near Regent's Park. The timing of the announcement was significant, as Kensington Palace waited until the following day to inform the public, emphasizing that while the surgery was successful, the princess's condition would require an extended recovery period. The palace's communication strategy was clear but measured, indicating that the 42-year-old royal would likely remain absent from public duties until after Easter, falling on March 31st this year. Initially, officials maintained that the condition wasn't cancerous, though specific details about the surgery remained private. It gets even more interesting. The situation became more complex when, in a remarkable coincidence, King Charles was admitted to and discharged from the same hospital as Catherine, with both leaving on January 29th. This parallel health journey would take on new meaning when, in February, Buckingham Palace announced that the king had been diagnosed with cancer, less than 18 months into his reign following Queen Elizabeth II's passing in September 2022. The palace maintained discretion about the stage of the king's cancer, though they confirmed his step back from public engagements to focus on treatment. Adding to the family's health concerns, Sarah, Duchess of York, and Prince Andrew's former wife, revealed her own battle with malignant melanoma on January 21st, highlighting the extraordinary confluence of health challenges facing the royal family in early 2024. As weeks passed without public appearances from the Princess of Wales, speculation began to mount. A brief glimpse of Catherine on March 4th in Windsor, seated beside her mother, Carol Middleton, in a car, did little to quell public curiosity. In an attempt to address growing speculation, the couple released a family photograph on Mother's Day, featuring Catherine with her 3 children. However, this effort backfired when news agencies withdrew the image due to apparent manipulation, leading to a personal apology from the princess the following day for editing the photograph. This sudden twist of fate feels particularly touching, given Kate's long-standing dedication to a course that no one could have anticipated: Kate's commitment to healthcare. Ever since Kate joined the royal family back in 2011, she's shown she has a big heart, especially when it comes to helping sick children. Her first big project was visiting kids at London's Royal Marsden Hospital, a place known worldwide for treating cancer patients. She did not just go about doing the usual royal wave, but really spending time with young patients going through tough treatments. This wasn't just any random choice of hospital either. Her husband William has been involved with the hospital since 2007, following in his mom, Princess Diana's footsteps. Kate picked up right where Diana left off, bringing her own special touch to cheering up kids who really needed it. But Kate didn't stop there. She became a regular face at children's hospices, especially at East Anglia's children's hospices. Now, hospices might sound scary to some people, but Kate has helped show everyone what these places really are. Somewhere families can get help when they're going through really tough times with seriously ill kids. When Kate visits these places, she's not just there for the photos. She gets down on the floor to do arts and crafts with the kids, chats with worried parents, and really listens to what the nurses and doctors have to say. The narrative about hospices has now changed, thanks to Kate. People no longer view it as a sad place, but somewhere families can find support and care when they need it most. What makes Kate different from many other royals is how she really gets involved. She's not afraid to sit and play with sick kids, give hugs to worried moms and dads, or roll up her sleeves to help raise money for these important places. She's shown up at fundraisers, shared stories about the amazing work these places do, and gotten more people to understand why they need our support. These days, Kate's work means even more to people because she's been open about her own health struggles. When she talks to families now, they know she really understands what it's like to go through tough medical times. She is not just a princess talking about health care. She is someone who really gets it. Year after year, Kate keeps showing up for sick kids and their families. She's not doing it because she has to, but because she really cares. Whether she's visiting hospitals, supporting healthcare workers, or speaking up about why kids' health matters so much, she's making a real difference in her own down-to-earth way. When it comes to helping sick kids, Kate brings something special to the table. She's not just interested in making sure kids get better physically. She knows there's way more to it than that. Let's take a closer look at how she's changing the way we think about children's health care. Every time Kate steps into a hospital, she makes it clear that helping kids get better isn't just about medicine. She knows that being sick is scary for kids, and sometimes they need someone to talk to about their worries just as much as they need their medicine. The princess visited Great Ormond Street Hospital in London back in 2018. This place is like a superhero headquarters for treating sick kids. When Kate showed up, she didn't just cut ribbons and make speeches. She got down on her knees to talk to kids at their eye level, making them feel like they were the most important people in the room. She opened their new medical center too, but what everyone remembers is how she sat and really listened to kids in intensive care, sharing jokes and bringing smiles to some pretty tough situations. At Evelina London Children's Hospital in 2019, Kate rolled up her sleeves and joined in with art therapy sessions. Picture this: a princess sitting at a tiny table, painting and chatting with kids like she's known them forever. She became their royal patron that year, but she acts more like a friendly visitor who just happens to wear a crown sometimes. What makes Kate different is how she plans these visits. She doesn't just pop in for 5 minutes and leave. She thinks carefully about how to make each visit count. Sometimes she'll spend ages talking to one family because she can see they need it. Other times, she'll join in with play therapy, getting creative with the kids and helping them forget they're in hospital for a while. The real magic happens when Kate talks to the hospital staff. She asks tons of questions about how they're helping kids deal with being scared or sad about their treatment. She wants to know everything, from how they help parents cope, how siblings are supported, what happens when families are struggling with money while their kid is sick. It's like she's building a big picture of what families really need when they're going through tough times. And she doesn't just listen. She uses what she learns to make changes happen. When she spots something that could be done better, she talks to the right people about it. She has helped get more support for things like play therapy and family counseling in hospitals. She has even made hospitals to think more about how to make their buildings less scary for kids, adding bright colors, play areas, and quiet spaces where families can take a break. The best part? Kate remembers people. Families who've met her often say how amazed they are that she remembers their names and asks about specific things they told her last time. She keeps track of kids' progress and celebrates their victories, big and small. Whether it's finishing a course of treatment or just having a good day, she is there cheering them on. Through all of this work, Kate is showing everyone a new way of thinking about children's health care. And for the families going through these tough times, having someone like Kate in their corner makes a real difference. What started as regular royal visits has turned into something much bigger. A movement to make hospitals friendlier, kinder places where healing happens in all sorts of ways, not just with medicine. And that's exactly the kind of legacy Kate seems to want to leave. One where every sick child feels heard, supported, and cared for, not just as a patient, but as a person. These attributes of her makes her seem like she was born ready to be queen, but nobody is really born that way. What could have expanded her character that much? Was her relationship with the late queen anything to consider? There are information about their relationship that will leave us shocked. The bond between Queen Elizabeth and Catherine evolved into a meaningful mentorship, characterized by intimate conversations during their frequent afternoon gatherings at Kensington Palace. The late monarch's guidance proved invaluable as Kate prepared for her future role as queen consort. A significant milestone in their relationship occurred in 2019 when Catherine received the Dame Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order, symbolizing the Queen's recognition of her dedication to royal service. Their parallel approaches to public life became evident through their sartorial choices. The Queen, shaped by her wartime experiences, embraced practical fashion and garment reuse, while Catherine developed her signature style, blending heritage pieces with high-end fashion, creating a modern royal aesthetic. Their shared understanding of royal responsibilities fostered a deep mutual respect. Photography emerged as another common interest between the two women. The Queen's lifelong enthusiasm began in childhood with her first box brownie camera, while Catherine developed her artistic eye through family portraiture. Her passion spiked in leading the Hold Still initiative at the National Portrait Gallery during the COVID-19 lockdown, documenting British life during an unprecedented period. Both women demonstrated remarkable ability to unite and reassure the public during times of national uncertainty, albeit in their distinct ways. Their relationship exemplified the seamless transmission of royal traditions while embracing necessary modernization, creating a blueprint for the monarchy's future. Their shared commitment to duty, coupled with their individual approaches to public service, strengthened both the institution and their personal connection. The unique dynamic between Kate and Queen Elizabeth exemplified the monarchy's ability to adapt while maintaining its core traditions. Their relationship served as a stabilizing force during times of royal transition and public uncertainty. The Queen's mentorship proved particularly valuable